There we go. Okay, so I'm Melissa Shaver. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm so excited for any of you that have been with me in the past. You always know I say it every time that this is my favorite night of the month. We always have a favorite something within this business, and I love talking about the business. So if you are a guest with us tonight, welcome and thank you for taking the time to be here. I really believe that you're going to be blessed in the conversation that we're going to have tonight. If you are new to us, this is about Plexus Worldwide. We are a network marketing company. We love and are passionate towards healthy living and wellness lifestyles. We are a plant-based supplemental supplemental company that we look at inflammation, gut health, blood sugar stabilization. We're very strong into hormone health, brain health, and actually it's all connected together. Whenever we speak towards those hormone and brain health, it all has to do with our gut and our balanced blood sugars. And so that is what we're all about. And tonight we are actually interviewing and having just I want to say fireside chat, but I have no fire in here. So, but that's what I always think about. It's just a sweet conversation that we get to have with one of our leaders in our company. And tonight we are going to be speaking with Michelle Harrell, who is one of our top leaders in our company. And Michelle, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful for you. But I wanted to ask you, if I can, just a couple of questions to kind of get into your heart and what actually brought you into this business, into this company. And I would like for us really just to start kind of with your story. Today, you are one of our top leaders in our company. But when you started, did you actually start for the business opportunity, or did you start more on that product side as just wanting to be a customer, and then you learned from there? Can you kind of share some of that with us?
Sure. When you say I'm one of the top leaders in the company, now that blows my mind because that's not how I started. I started for the products. Absolutely started for the products. I was fascinated hearing actually Melissa's story, as well as two other people. A college friend was posting about the same time, and a friend I went to church with was posting at the same time. And I was reading all of their posts and fascinated. And really, they could share all their health testimonies, and they were all different. Some of them resonated, some of them didn't, but they were using the same products, and it fascinated me. And I kept coming back because I was skeptical, and I was thinking about it. You know, I was looking at them every day to see if they were still sharing and if they were still taking it. I'm like, okay, they love it on Monday. Do they still love it on Friday? Mm-hmm. What about next Wednesday? You know, how much is their belief in it? Because again, I was very skeptical. But I came in, I finally, after 4.5, almost 5 months, decided, you know what? I want to try this for me. And in all truth, even though they had amazing health testimonies, I'm looking at going, well, everybody seemed to have a side effect of losing weight. Lord, I know how to live with the problems that I have, but I sure would like a better way of losing weight. Mm. And isn't it true? I mean, we tend to think, oh, well, I already know how to live with this. I have debilitating headaches, but I know what I need to do to get rid of that. I've had them my entire life. But losing weight, this seems to be a struggle for me. So I did. I got curious enough, finally. My belief was built from watching all these times. She didn't have to sell me anything. She met me for coffee, and I said, do you really like it? And how do I order? That's really at that point all I cared about. I knew I needed to take it. My degree in college is kinesiology, exercise physiology. I knew it was going to take a little bit of time, and we're from a self-employed family. I had retired as a flight attendant. I'm probably getting ahead of questions you're asking me.
Okay.
But I had retired because we really felt called for me to stay home with our one boy turned into two boys. Mm-hmm. And we gave up a lot of stability for that, a lot of security for that. But it was very strongly impressed on our hearts that that's where we needed to be. So my husband's a self-employed photographer, and you basically don't know month to month what's coming in too far in advance. If I was going to stay on these products, then I also knew I learned really quickly. If I shared with just a couple of people, I can make enough to basically cover my products. And that really was my goal. I just didn't want to take anything out of the budget for our family.
Mm-hmm.
So I did what Melissa told me to, and I shared with a couple of people.
Yeah. That's like,
did I answer that question?
You did. Like, I'm so fascinated. And it does go into this next one. First of all, I'm fascinated that you watched the way that you watched for those several months. And I like what you just said, okay, they love it today, but are they going to love it on Friday? They love it on Monday, but do they love it on Friday? That consistency that you were looking for because you wanted validation that it was real. Is really so fascinating to listen to. That's the mindset of some people, is thinking that way, and the realization of that consistency. But also, right, just with your background, you talked a little bit about being a flight attendant. You ended up being a homeschool mama. You have really strong values from just the Christian side of faith and raising up in that value system of your family. And just those passions that you have towards that. But how did the products and this business, how did that align with your personal values, specifically towards the business? When you stepped into the business side and started growing an online business, how did it validate where you already were with your values?
Okay, two sides to that.
Mm-hmm.
How did it align with my values? I'll be honest, because I believed your integrity and the integrity of the other two people that were sharing, that was enough for me in the beginning.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That was enough. I didn't understand the ingredients. I didn't understand why it worked, but I trusted you and I trusted these other friends. And because you all were consistent for those 4.5 months, I was willing to try. So it aligned with integrity for me. And then as I got to understand what it was, I was like, oh, the fact that it's clean, it doesn't have fake sugars in it. It didn't have food dyes in it. Not that I was over the top. I mean, it's one thing for me to say that. At the same time, I'm driving through, McDonald's getting a Happy Meal for my kids. But in my head, I'm like, okay, I need my kids to be healthy. And so I knew those things were things I really wanted to get stronger going with our family and with our health and growing men in my household. So as far as my values went, just the integrity of it and the cleanness of the product. I'll tell you one thing I loved. As I got started, I had the chance to visit with one of the scientists from Plexus, and we asked why at that point there wasn't a childproof lid on the kids' vitamins. And he said, because they can't overdose on these. There's nothing dangerous. These, because of the ingredients in them, they were safe. I'm all over that. I'm all over the fact of taking something that's not going to cause a side effect that I have to take something else for.
Right.
So that aligned. As far as the business model and the fit, you already said I was homeschooling. Actually, the year that I started doing Plexus, we had just moved the boys to a charter school. But we'd been homeschooling up through, going into 6th grade. We took it year to year, didn't know if we would, year to year, what we would be doing. The charter school was only 5 hours a day. And then we were still working at home some with schooling, just needing to keep that open schedule. And again, not knowing if it would change the next year and, where the Lord would take us as far as education for the boys with that. And we just felt strong about me staying home and being present. And I know that's not for everybody. And kudos to those who work outside the home full time and still show up for all the kids stuff and for the sports and able to grocery shop. I don't know when people grocery shop and go to the dry cleaners when they work full time. Because I have a hard enough time as a stay-at-home mom, but kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it all lined up with where we'd already decided our family was heading. And it was easy to add that in to, again, in the beginning, I'm just sharing with a couple of people, having no idea that it would grow to where it is now.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to listen to you share about the fit and the integrity and why it worked for y'all, the flexibility of it. But, that's kind of my next question, is just in regards to the business model and how it was a good fit for you. And for any of our guests that are with us tonight, the work that we do, and when we talk about this business model, like, we don't have inventory. We don't have to carry inventory. We can consult with our customers, our VIPs. We can help them with what products are good for them, but they have a lot of the control themselves of their subscriptions and their products and things like that. So that piece of not having to have parties, not having to have inventory, those are big areas. And as I was listening to Michelle just share, and she was like, I don't, kudos to someone who works full time and can do some of these mom things that have to happen, and talking through that. But it makes me think about this piece too, as to why this business model was a good fit. And I don't know if it's towards that, but that was my first thought, because I did start the business working full time. I don't work full time in a corporate setting anymore. But that was a big piece for me about this business model, is that, we don't upkeep our website. We have customer service. We don't have a business to where we don't have support behind us to help us. We don't have to carry inventory. We don't have to go out and do parties all the time. And that's how we get our sales. And so those were things for me that were highly beneficial if you do work full time and you want another income stream, or if you're a mom that is working full time in the home, but you're wanting to be able to, benefit the family budget with an income. Those are great things. But what did that look like for you whenever you first got started in this business? What about that was a good fit for you?
We say nooks and crannies.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that, but there's a lot of intentionality in that. That means, especially being at the charter school, you get in that carpool line. That carpool line's 30 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy to make use of that time and answer questions that people had, return phone calls, text somebody something. I could do that with great intentionality when it didn't affect my family. I could do it in the when the boys were at school. I could stick it in at different places, again, with great intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
But it was flexible to fit our family model that we already were having. And not to say that there are times that it did not take, that maybe there was a ball game that I missed. I didn't have to, though. It was a choice,
mm-hmm.
because it fit into being able to care for other people,
mm-hmm.
and do something that would grow our family. Because our family really, when this did become a business, and I say it became a business, it means I'm like, oh, I'm sharing with more people. And now more people want to come on. And now they're sharing with people, and they're sharing with more people. That's where the business came in. It's not all me. It's the fact that I shared with enough people who shared with enough people who shared with enough people, that's where all of a sudden it was a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were times, and my family understood that. We're like, we're doing this for us. And there are even different levels. Like you get to different levels in the company. It's like, okay, when we get to this, when we get to this, how are we going to celebrate? Because my boys, my husband, everybody was behind supporting the fact that mom might need to go um, listen in on an informational call, or maybe go have coffee with somebody. And everybody's kind of gathered together because this was a we thing for our family.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. It was a we thing. That's one thing about this business. I feel like that everyone can participate. They understand the end goal and what's happening. And I also think that they see for their parent, whether it's their mom or their dad. For us, the majority of our people are women that are doing this, but they are able to see the benefits of what's happening through that, and the celebrations that can come with that. So it makes them more inclined to continue to participate, which I think is super cool. To be able to do that. So a couple of things, we've talked about working full-time, and some people are full-time mamas, full-time out of the home working. Some are in ministry and doing different things like that, nonprofits. But there are specific learning skills that have to happen, skill sets that we have to learn, just like if you were in a business, right, in corporate, or you took a job somewhere, or you're learning a new ministry. There are skill sets that we learn through that process. And honestly, that's one of the things I love about this business, is that we have such a growth mindset mentality in this community of growing our skills and getting better. And that's something that really fills my cup. But I would love to hear from you, like, what are some things that you have learned about yourself, some skills that maybe you've learned through the process, but also, what do you believe are some of those key components for someone, if they are looking at this business and if this is a good fit for them? What would you say would be some specific areas that they would really want to focus in on to be successful?
Skill sets I've had. I'll tell you what, a big one, just mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't know if you normally think of that being like a skill set, but it really is. I had to come to the place where I realized that if I needed these products, that more than likely other people needed these products, and that I'm adding value by sharing them. I'm not trying to just sell to my friends. I'm trying to share what helped me. At the end of the day, again, if I didn't believe in the products,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have made it past Wednesday.
Yeah.
I had to believe in what they were doing. So if I really believe that, why would I not share? And I don't know if everybody on here is a believer, or whoever's but it just reminds me, it's not Siegfried and Roy. Who are the comedians? One talks and one doesn't.
Oh,
Who am I thinking of?
I know who it is, but I don't know their names.
One, does anybody know? Anyway, you would know if I said the name.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them, the bigger guy who,
Yeah.
yes, one's tall, one's short.
Right.
It'll come to me. It's not Siegfried and Roy. Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller. I believe Penn is the bigger one. Whoever the bigger one is an atheist. And I don't love that he's an atheist, but I loved the point he made one time that said, if you really believe in what you say you believe in, how much must you hate me if you don't share what you have? In so many ways, I feel the same way with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not Jesus, though that does come into conversations, but it's health.
Mm-hmm.
It is things that really can change people's life. And maybe with the business, it could really change and be an answer to prayer in another way, that you can't even judge from the outside who needs this and who doesn't as far as a business goes. And even with health, I've learned you
Mm-hmm.
can't judge who needs these products
So true.
by the outside either. But that was a big thing with mindset, was just learning, you know what? I just need to be open-handed with that. And then another thing was being open-handed, and I don't know if this is really what you're looking for, but being open-handed with my virtual life.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-Plexus, I said I was watching Melissa, I was watching a couple other friends. I was a Facebook voyeur. I had a very small Facebook circle. All the grandparents lived out of town, all the aunts and uncles lived out of town. I would post every now and then so they could see what was happening with my boys. Or they could see, a cute Halloween costume, or we'd gone to the Arboretum and pictures from there. Or maybe every now and then I might post something that I thought was funny. Matter of fact, I had a girlfriend from church say, I love it when you post. I wish you would post more often. And I asked her a couple years after I started Plexus, I'm like, do you still wish I posted more often? But for me, learning how to, especially people say, well, I don't do social media. I'm not very, girl, I did not either. That was another thing. I just had to be intentional with it and go, you know what? Be transparent. Just put stuff out there. If you think it's funny, probably somebody else will think it's funny, or if it's helpful, or if it's a health tip. Those things, people are just like me, and they're scrolling Facebook, just like I did pre-Plexus. I'm sitting in that carpool line just scrolling. Who knew that I could be intentional with that 30-minute scroll time and actually add value to my family?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
was there another side to that question?
No, but it just makes me like listening to you talk about being, open-handed is how you said that, which I think it's just being kind of living out loud, right? And
Right.
being open to allowing people to see you before you were hidden. Nobody knew that you were watching them. You were quiet. And now you live in a place of living out loud and allowing people to see. But listening to you and just thinking about our guests that are with us, in regards to that was a transformation that has happened for you. It's been a journey for you to do that. For so many people, they're like, but I could not do that. I couldn't live out loud or be authentic. And it's just like you said in the beginning that you weren't that person. But that's where it comes into being coachable, to being open to new things, to learning a skill set, right? And seeing those things. And it's fascinating because I do think, you have transformed so far. People who know you today and have been with you, like it's been such a cool thing to be able to see. And I think that that's a key piece for any of us that are looking at, is this a business for us? Is, are we coachable? Do we desire to grow? Do we want to learn some new areas? It's like what you said at the end of the things that I do of adding value is impacting and benefiting my family because of me being able to share and to speak that, to others. And it's not just sharing about the business and the product, it's sharing life because people come to know you that way and they trust you that way. So I just love what you shared in that. And that was kind of my next question towards that is, did you start sharing intentionally to start this business? Like, did you like intentionally say, I'm going to share to grow? Or did you say, I'm going to share because it's changing me too? And I want to share with others because I know what it could do for them. Like, how did that work for you?
Well, that was a transition. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I started sharing in the beginning just to say, hey, I'm trying something new, kind of inviting people in, hoping that they might do it. And then they would benefit. I would have accountability partners.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would also cover my costs.
Mm-hmm.
As you share more, and then people are trying it and you're hearing their stories,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, hold up. If I hadn't been willing to share with her, and she hadn't been willing to share with him, and he shared with his wife. I mean, that was one story. A pastor in North Carolina was able to, a few steps away from me, not because I shared with him, I didn't know him,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew who shared with him. He started ordering the products for his wife because she had an autoimmune issue and she couldn't even get out of bed without his help in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But he believed his friend and did it. And then you're hearing a story that at the end of 2 months, going into 3 months, she walked into the bathroom one morning and realized, how did I just get in here? Because he didn't help me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, that gives you chills. And you're like, oh, what a cool thing I'm getting to do is sharing. I'm just sharing. Like you said, we're not keeping inventory. I'm not having to make deliveries to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, it didn't cost my family for me to be doing this. I mean, it cost me to take the products,
Mm-hmm.
but that paid for itself the first
Right.
month.
Right.
It cost me some time, but the return on sharing hope really is a huge thing. I was going to say, basically, I mean, would you trade that for when you know the impact you're making on families, even trading that for the financial benefit?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm real happy with the financial benefit because of where it's taken us. We're self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have college tuition funds. There were some months that we were taking from Peter to pay Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You get new tires and you're like, oh, where's that money coming from? Now, it turned into, because I was willing to share, scared. I will tell you, the first time I ever posted, and if you say, well, I don't even have a social media presence, there's tons of people who just share person to person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. I chose to share initially on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I outed myself and put it out there. But because the first time I did, I will tell you, I wanted to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary to out yourself, especially with health. People don't want to talk about your health. They don't want to talk about their health because we just want to put the facade on Facebook that everything's good. No, I just threw up and I'm sleeping for the next 6 hours because my head's killing me,
Mm-hmm.
but everything's good. But you guys, you start sharing those things. It can make such an impact with people that you've never met. But how amazing is it when it makes impact on the people that are the closest to you? It's both. But as I was going to say, it pays for college. It became the college fund. It paid for yes days. It paid for the fact that when every business shut down in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
nobody needed a commercial photographer. There were probably 10 months that passed between my husband's jobs. Pre-Plexus, we would have been living with family at that point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my son's still in college.
Mm-hmm.
We still have bills going out. And because that many, January 2014, I said yes to something for my health and for my weight and shared it with others. By the time that hit, it wasn't, we didn't blink, we didn't miss a beat.
Mm-hmm.
It paid for all of that, even with my husband sitting at home. And that's not something I ever anticipated.
Right.
But skepticism to hope was a really big deal for our family.
Yeah.
And I think I've jumped ahead.
No, you have so many good nuggets there. And I think too, like you sharing about your husband last year and the 10 months that went in between, but in 2014, you would have never known that we were going to have a 2020.
No.
2021. No. Yeah. And the
No,
Lord knows, like the Lord is so far ahead of us of seeing the fullness and providing in ways. And you did something that was something you've never done before that looks a little different. And you said yes to that. And it was the Lord's provision, his gift for your future.
it was, but I do want to say this because you say it's something I hadn't done before, and yes, as a business I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, how often do we share what we love
Mm-hmm.
anyway? It's easy for me to share about the Cobb salad at Chick-fil-A because I love it. It's easy for me to share about, the latte I get. It's easy for me to share about my slippers. The mindset comes in when you go, oh, I'm sharing something that I could actually benefit off of.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to tweak that. That's a pivot point in your head of going, it's okay. Because they can't buy these products at Target. They can't buy these products at Walgreens,
Mm-hmm.
but I can share it with them, and I can help them know how to take them so they can see the same benefits that I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That is so good. I feel like that you spoke towards this, but I want to ask it just for, I know for me, if I were considering and trying to figure out if I'm a fit for this type of business, if I could pull it off, if you will. But I do know that some people that are trying to get started with a business, that they're fearful of moving from what they know is their norm, which might be traditional corporate America or stay-at-home mom or education or ministry work. We have so many that are in the ministry area that are in this business, but they feel like that they wouldn't be able to do something like this of moving into that. What would you say towards that for somebody that is like, I have to be an extrovert, or I have to have a lot of people following me on social media if this is an online business, or maybe they feel like that they're not an influencer in some way, or they don't know the right people. What would you say to someone like that that is trying to qualify themselves from that perspective?
Well, for my own story, I would say I completely relate.
Mm.
I had a small social circle online. I did grow it. It's just a matter of going, you know what? Yeah, I went to high school, Susie. I could be friends with her. I didn't have to guard as much. Now my Facebook page is still, it's not public. It's friends or friends of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm post it I'm posting my life on there.
Mm-hmm.
I already get enough friend requests from widowers in Norway. I don't want all these people on my page. So I'm still I'm still selective of who's coming on. We've got to at least have a couple friends in common, because that's my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to be the people I'm just meeting every day now. It can be, you guys, we have so many chapters in our life. I'm on Facebook now with people I went to elementary school, teachers I had in high school, my pastors growing up,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of people that come into my life. I'm 54, so I've got lots of chapters that have come into my life, and it's just going, you know what? Hey, it's good to see you. It's a neighborhood now
Mm-hmm.
instead of a tight circle. It's a neighborhood. Hey, good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
I know we haven't seen each other in a long time. Great to see you. It's really fun to get to see and meet a lot of different people and to come in. As far as introvert, extrovert, I've taken the test. Found it so interesting. I took the test, and there's a baseline. You're like, say you're right at 0. And this way is extrovert and this way is introvert. I am just one mark over in the extrovert. So that means barely. I'm basically at the 0 line.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself a friendly introvert. I'm the one that will get on the elevator and talk because I want everybody to feel comfortable. But as a flight attendant, I was one usually making the announcements. You never saw me standing in the middle of the aisle making an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I stood in the galley because I didn't want people to stare at me. Um, I'm I'm good at tasks when I know exactly what my task is. So I completely understand that. I'm the one, if you go skiing, I'll stay on the same slope the entire week because I want to feel like I'm great at that slope versus trying all the different things. And I think I say that to explain, number one, if that's you and you're like, I don't know how to do this, well, great, because half of us starting this feel the exact same way.
Right.
And Melissa already mentioned it, we have systems in place. You're not coming in this and doing this by yourself. You actually are joining a community that truly is all for you. Everybody wants you to succeed because you're not competing with anybody. You can go as high as you're willing to work
Right.
in this business. You're not required to. You could have it be a hobby. You could have it just pay for your products. You could have it be just for yes days, or hey, I just want to make enough with this gig to pay for a really fun family vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could go, you know what? I'm just going to keep sharing. And as my friends are sharing, I'm going to, be a great support for them as they're sharing to, share ideas with. So as we can all link arms and share. And I'm just going to see how far it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And if it pays for college and it pays for your mortgage and it pays for, it becomes plan B.
Yeah.
Plan B becomes plan A.
Mm-hmm.
Then hallelujah.
Right. So true. Okay, to close out, I want to ask you, what would be the top 3 things that you would say would make somebody would need to be successful in this business? 3 things.
Taking action, basically being consistent. I told you at the very beginning, that was the thing that stood out to me the most. I needed to see consistency from the people I was watching.
So good.
Because that builds belief.
Right.
As you're sharing this, I have to do the same thing. I don't want people going, I wonder if Michelle's still doing Plexus. I want to be the one that they think of when they're like, you know what? I'm finally ready to try. I know Michelle still does it because I see that she still loves the products. So I'm going to ask Michelle. So consistency.
That's good.
Schedule. I shared this with somebody earlier today. Schedule your priorities. We all have busy lives. I don't care if you're working full time as a bank president or if you're a stay-at-home mama. We all have priorities, but we can all do this because you schedule what is the most important. And then you know what those things are. You can get those things done, and then the rest might be equally important, but not equally important. It's still important, but you're being very intentional and getting those things done first. So if it's having quality time with your kids, or it is a meeting with your broker, or it is your 9-to-5 job, doing that, well, then maybe if your priority is also, hey, I want to share Plexus with my neighbor's been asking me questions, then that means at lunchtime you're sending them information. It's just being intentional with the pockets that you have. And then and I want to actually, now that I'm saying this, if you don't mind, I want to read you a quote. Because it would be my number 3. Change. John Maxwell writes in the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. So ask yourself, where do I need to make a change? Start on one thing, master that, and then move forward, adjust, pivot, but move forward, reminding yourself you're in it to win it. So I think being willing to do that change, this last year, since last April, I started going to strength training twice a week. And my trainer is Marvin. I love Marvin. He told me Tuesday I was in there. I was in there today too, but he actually said this on Tuesday, and I want to be legit in what I'm sharing. But he told me Tuesday I was lifting something. He said, you realize when you started, you couldn't do this. I said, I absolutely know that. Baby steps are progress. Anything you can do that's moving you forward, even if it's a tiny step, is progress. And being consistent is growing that baby muscle. Scheduling your priorities is another way of intentionally growing those little baby muscles.
Right.
And then being willing to figure out, what do I need to do to change to get to what I'm looking to be doing? Where do I need to pivot in my life to do this? That is, so if you're looking at going, okay, well, I can't do what she's doing, baby steps. Because I couldn't lift what I was doing, and I'm not a power lifter. Let's be clear on that. I mean, we're not talking powerlifting, but I'm so much stronger now than I was in April. But it's because I keep showing up consistently every week, and it's the same thing in sharing Plexus, in sharing my life with other people, and just even in taking the products. I have to be consistent for them to work in my own life. So,
yeah.
Is that too much?
Good stuff. Good stuff. I think we could all listen to you. You share just so many good nuggets. And for any of you that are with us tonight, or if a friend shared this with you because they wanted you to hear about the business because maybe you're interested in this, I want you to know it's very easy to join and get started. Like we said, you don't have to have an inventory. You don't have to hold up that side of it. You don't have to have parties and things like that. Now, I will say we love coming together. We love being in community face to face, but it is not a requirement for you to be able to be successful in this business. We're not a party-based company. So I want you to hear those things, and definitely get with your guest, with the person who invited you here, because there are great ways for you to immediately make $300, $600, $1,000 this month. With the bonuses and the things that we do. Our compensation plan is so beautifully given and rewards you for being consistent, for you setting priorities and being intentional and getting a little bit outside of your comfort zone and learning something new. I think a big area is just being coachable towards those things. Are such big ones. So I wanted to share that with you tonight, because I definitely want you to get with your friend immediately. If this is that just kind of in your tummy, like you just know, like you're leaning into this and you keep going, is this for me? Is this where I'm supposed to be going? I'm going to say yes, that nudging is for you to take that chance. And products, if you've not taken the products yet, obviously you heard Michelle's story. That's where she started and she's where she is today. But if you're on the products and you're just saying, can I get these products paid for? Is that something that I could do? I want you to really get into that. Like Michelle was sharing, and we shared it earlier. We have systems in place, depending on if you want to share and get products paid for, just share with a couple of friends if you're wanting to bring home $500 a month, or if you're wanting to make an executive six-figure income. We have systems in place for you to be able to do that, and to do it without having to give your life away. Speaking from a corporate person that gave my life away, this is a business that you can do, that you do get to keep your priorities, and you get to say, this is my love language over here in this space. You get to continue to do those things. But Michelle, I wanted to ask you one last question, and it will close us out tonight. And thank you so much for your time. But I would love, one thing that I share a lot with people is, if you're looking at, I know for me, once again, corporate background, traditional, went to college, went into a corporation, looked at promoting up and going up the ladder. That is my background before I stepped into this space. And so a lot of times whenever I'm sharing with people about the business, I'm like, do your due diligence, do your homework. Find out what the products are. Are they quality products? Is it something that people would take on a continual basis? Is it something that's needed, especially in the world that we live in today? Is it an essential, right? Is it a necessity? I think health and wellness is a necessity today. But do your homework in those areas. Do your homework to see not only if you can believe and have a backing in that product, something that you could really be passionate towards, but look at the corporation, look at the company. We're a debt-free company. Look at that company, do your due diligence, look at the executive team. Do they align with your values? Like, looking at all those things are such critical, important pieces. Just like if you were to go take a job, you would do your due diligence on that job if that's a position for you. And so I always want you to know those things, because there's a fit for us in different areas. And I always say, go and do that piece. But in saying that, I do think that Plexus is unique. I think that we are like the cream of the crop. I really do believe that in network marketing in this industry, with our executives, with our products, the quality of products, with our community that we have that is so strong and supportive. And those pieces of personal development, like there's so many areas, the financial, the compensation plan. Please, if you're looking at doing an online business, do your due diligence on the compensation plan. Will they do what they say that they will do? What does it look like? What do you have to do to receive those bonuses or that compensation? Do your homework. And I love to be able to say those things because I know what ours is. I know what our company does. I know the integrity of our company. I know what our compensation will do. And so I freely say, do your due diligence, go look at a couple of different companies, see where your fit is. So, but in saying that, Michelle, as we close out, I wanted to ask you, what do you love about Plexus Worldwide? What is it about this company and this business that you love, and that you, when you put your head on the pillow at night, you are satisfied because of what you represent?
And we're talking about outside of the products.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's a whole other story. You already know I believe in the, as far as the company goes, Melissa's already said some of it. It's a debt-free company. And what that means is they're not answering to a board of directors or investors that are coming. I mean, maybe, no, not investors coming in. They're not answering to those people. They're actually making decisions for what is best for the company. One thing I've learned being here these last, and I just hit yesterday, day before yesterday,
Yeah.
hit my 8-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned real quickly from the leadership in this company is they make decisions based on what's good for the ambassador and for the company. If it's not good for the company, then it's not good. And if it's not good for the ambassador, it's not good. I was also, so that's amazing to me. The fact that they're not answering to outside sources who are just money men who have nothing, no skin in the game, mm-hmm. The same desires that I do for this company, that means a lot to me. And then just that, even as far as the leadership goes, again, since I have been here for 8 years, I've seen them hire different people. And I was fascinated to find out that sometimes for these pretty big positions within our company, mm-hmm. they're bringing in some of the top ambassadors to help interview them. Mm-hmm. Because again, they know that we're the field. When I call into corporate, to customer service, different people, they tell me thank you for what we do because they know that we're the ones out there sharing. I mean, it really is a team. I mean, they're doing all the diligence and the research and in keeping all of that side of it together. And we're sharing something we love that's changed our life. And somehow that just marries together in such a beautiful way for me, because I don't have to think about those things,
Mhm.
because I trust the people that are thinking of those things,
Mhm.
and they're transparent. And I'll tell you what, there's been a couple times there, at least one that I think they made a decision. They're like, that was not good, and we apologize.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had to do that with my kids before. I mean, it's hard to come and say, hey, mommy was not nice when I said that. Will you forgive me? But for for our leadership and our company to
Mhm.
come and say, you know what, we did not. I think it was like a back office thing or something. They're like, that wasn't a good
Mhm.
decision,
Yeah.
and we apologize. And we are going to be extra careful to make sure, because we want to make this good for, again, just for everybody.
Mhm.
So that spoke volumes to me, to have our leadership. I've also been in places where the bigwigs, even in churches, are not accessible.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to get up to them, and they're not accessible, and they have a security guard next to them, or they sneak out.
Mhm.
You guys, I walk into a Plexus event, and our leadership is right down there with its people.
Right.
They're they they love us well. It's not set apart. It is together. So those are the things that stand out to me. And I guess that all goes back to the integrity piece that I started the whole conversation with.
Yeah. Very true. A big circle. We circled
Mhm.
around. Well, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with
Having
us
me.
tonight. And thank you guys for being on with us. If any of you do have questions, please ask the questions of the person who invited you here. Also, if they don't know the answer, they know how to find the answer. So make sure that you ask the questions. And yeah, Michelle, make sure that you look at the chats. You've got some really great information in the chats. You guys, thanks for your time. I hope you have a wonderful night, and we will see y'all again next month. Bye.